Hi, I'm Maribeth Quinn, a mixed media collage artist from Nashville, Tennessee, and I get a lot of questions about color mixing. I am by no means a color mixing expert, but I will say that because I'm a self-taught artist, I have had to do a lot of exploring on my own. And I'm going to show you how I sort of have played with color in a way that has taught me a lot about how to use color more effectively in my work. I would highly suggest having some sort of way to take notes because this is not something you just want to learn about in the moment and hope that you retain it. I use my accordion style Sea White concertina sketchbook. I do lots of note taking and different experiments in here. I have several of these going, and so I will be working in that today. But you can also use just a regular sketchbook like this. So just find something in which you can take some notes and make some marks, and we will get started in learning a little bit about how you can really break away from just using colors out of the tube. That used to be the way that I painted as well. I would just say, what colors do I want to use? And I would just reach for the color of the second that was sparking my interest. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. A lot of people paint that way. But for my work, especially going into mixed media, where I was going to be making things like collage papers. And so I wanted to be sure that everything sort of had a cohesive feel to it as I went on into my painting. So when I found a way to really get a lot of color harmony, then everything sort of began to click for me with color. So what I do is I just get my concertina sketchbook. I like it because it can lay out flat. I mean, if I wanted to, I could carry this on for pages, actually. But what I do is I just take something with a big circle. If you need to trace something, I just took this and then traced around it for my big circle. And then in the middle, I took something smaller, like this small color mixing bowl, and I just traced around it. And then I'm going to use 3 colors. So starting small and really paring down to just 3 colors has been something that has helped me so much. And I'll tell you why. I can get easily overwhelmed. And so if I'm dealing with too many elements, I'm not really going to learn anything. There's just all of these things happening, nothing is sticking. But when you pare it down to only 3 colors, you get to see, one, how many colors you can make. And you also get to see how those 3 colors interact. And the result that you will get in your paintings is a whole lot of harmony because you're just using the same building blocks for everything. Now, here's what I suggest. If you're going along with me and doing this exercise, get a color wheel. And what we're going to be looking for is a triad. You get a lot of harmony and interaction between colors that are in a sort of triad on this color wheel. If you get them too close, you can still learn a lot, but it's not going to be that contrasting experience that if you're really trying to learn about color that you can get just by starting out. So let's pick 3 colors on this color wheel. And you don't have to be exact about this. I chose the red orange, and the other in that triad is sort of a yellow green and then a blue violet. So what I did was got things out of my paint cart that were similar to these. So I got sort of a more bright green, but it's close enough. And then I got this light blue violet that falls in that family. And then I got this quinacridone burnt orange, and that definitely falls in the red orange category. So I'm going to be using those 3 paints. And what we're going to do is we're going to put the name of each of these here. And if you draw these lines to that small circle in the middle, what you're going to be doing is making a category for what these 2 colors will mix up and all the variations there. And we're going to even be adding some black and white so you can see the tints and the shades that you can create also with those. And then off to the sides, just in these side areas, what we're going to do is we're going to show the different colors that you can make with using all three. The variations are almost endless when you get into an exercise like this. So I'm just going to start doing the exercise, and I'm going to speed up the camera just a little bit so you can watch me do it. And I might have a little bit of commentary here and there, but I really feel like if you use this exercise, you will learn a lot about color and how little it actually takes.
But for me, it really took experimenting with these colors for me to understand that it didn't take a lot of different colors. I could create incredible colors in my paintings just by using three colors plus black and white. And it because there's only three, it produces so much harmony. This was something that I had to learn. I had to learn kind of the hard way, if there is a hard way. Just a lot of years of not understanding why I wasn't getting that harmonious feel to a lot of my paintings, and that it really was something this simple. Now, I don't always only use three colors in my paintings, but I do it very frequently. And because I've done this so many times with only three colors, I begin to have a more intuitive approach to color mixing that has a longer reaching effect. So I really recommend working with these colors, spending time. If you're like me, I used to tell myself unusual things like, you don't have time for this, or this is a waste of time, which now I think that's really just an hilarious thought because it's my job. This is my job. And somehow it felt to me like spending time that wasn't just working on a painting that I could sell was a waste of time when really it's the exact opposite. So here you see, I'm always just starting right in the middle. When I'm mixing two colors, I will start with equal portions of both and put it right in that middle space between the two color names. And from there, I will, in some variation, I will add more and more of just one color. So, for instance, I'm working with the emerald green and the quinacridone burnt orange. So, in the middle, I started with an equal mix of both. And first, I headed back toward the emerald green by just adding more and more of that emerald green color to that equal mixture of both. And the goal is that by the time I run out of space and get back to the top where it says emerald green, that I've got almost pure emerald green predominating that color. So that's what you see happening over and over here. And then in the middle, as I said before, I'll just take some of those colors and I will add some white to them in variable degrees and get some different tints of that color. And then I will add some black to get different shades of that color. Some really deep, rich, beautiful colors there in the middle. Now on the side, I'm experimenting with what different amounts of all three colors can produce. So, for instance, there at the top, I wrote equal mixes of all three colors with progressively more quinacridone burnt orange. And then that's what you see progressing down that right side of the page. And now I'm just mixing more of these things here on the other side and probably progressing toward another color. So it says mostly quinacridone burnt orange with progressive amounts of both blue and green, but mostly green. So it just gives me an idea about how I'm making these colors. When you really start using, you just find that there's lots of different variations and you understand the more you work with them.
So I'm just going to do a simplified version with a color palette that I use quite frequently. I love it. It just creates the most beautiful colors. I love how they interact. And so I'm going to show you that. Simplified version of this would just really quickly be to come up with the equal blend of these two. So I'm going to take some of the Indian yellow, steel blue, that right there in the middle. And now I'm just going to keep adding progressively more amounts of this yellow as I go toward it. Get some beautiful shades of green. And then just so we have it, I'm going to put a pure Indian yellow right there. And now I will start that process over. And now progressively, oops, move toward the blue. And then, of course, just put the pure steel blue color right there. Now, one thing that I'm going to do right here is with this yellow, I'm going to add some white. So I can see what that might look like and be able to use it. It's nice. And then I'm also going to add some black because you want to know what that pure color with black will look like. Beautiful green, beautiful dark green. Love it.
So now I'm just going to speed it up a little bit, and you can just watch the rest of this process. It's pretty predictable once you get it down. There I am just doing some of the tints and the shades, and starting again with the mix of those two colors, the steel blue and the quinacridone magenta. And now I will head back in the other direction, adding more blue each time. This really does build your confidence a lot and allows you to see how amazing color really is and what unexpected things it will do at times. The colors that you can make simply by adding black to a really pure color like Indian yellow or quinacridone magenta, it just makes some really rich, beautiful tones. And the only way that you'll understand this and then remember to use them is when you're working with them a lot like this. So now off to the side, I'm just mixing up some various combinations. At the top it says the quinacridone magenta and the Indian yellow mixed together plus black, and what it looks like when I add more magenta and adding more Indian yellow. Just tiny experiments that you can log away in your brain. But if your brain is like mine, just doing it once is not going to log anything away. I have trouble retaining things like that, and I have to do them a number of times, as well as get the information in there in more than just an informational sort of way. So this is a very tactile way to work with color and increase your understanding of how it behaves, how they interact, what works well together, what doesn't work together. And you'll be able to begin to predict what might happen if you were to add a little more black to a certain color combination, or if you were to put these two colors together, what they're likely to create. And it just puts more tools in your toolbox. Here's some really beautiful colors that are made from the Indian yellow and the steel blue, and then progressively the magenta.
So as you can see, you can just get a lot of information about how these colors interact. This is why I love to use this palette so much of magenta, yellow, steel blue. I can get, especially with landscapes, I can get quite the variation of earth tones and greens and just an array of colors. And when you blend them together, they really mix well. Whereas with this other palette, it really went into that sort of gray and muddy area. And so you really can't tell just by grabbing colors out of your paint cart exactly what they're going to do with one another. You really have to work with the combinations. And that's why you wind up getting favorite palettes, because you know how much you can do with them simply because you've experienced them. So if you pick out a number of these and try them, you'll find that you will learn a lot about what they do. So I hope that you found this very helpful. And if you'd like some more instruction on all of these things as they have to do with landscape and as they have to do with pushing you outside of your comfort zone into areas of your artistry that you've never been able to really access before, I have a wonderful new class coming out that is all about using mixed media and some exploratory exercises to figure out how to paint landscapes and what your work can look like when you paint more from an intuitive place. So I hope that you'll join me with that. You can find the wait list to sign up and just be the first to be notified when it's ready. It should be out in just weeks. And I hope that you find this helpful.
So if you are interested in mixed media collage, be sure to pick up my free collage kit that will introduce you to the whole medium. Information about that is in the description of this video, as well as that sign up to get notified about my new class. So as always, just thank you so much for spending time with me. It has been an honor. It always is, and I appreciate your likes and your comments.